message of Islam continued to spread throughout Mecca. Day after day, more men and women accepted the call of Prophet Muhammad. Despite facing persecution, exile, and hardship. What had begun with a small group of believers was slowly becoming a movement that challenged the foundations of Quraysh's society. To the leaders of Mecca, this new religion was more than a spiritual message. It threatened their authority, their traditions, and the unity of the tribe. Among those who stood firmly with Quraysh was one of its most talented young commanders, Khalid ibn al-Walid. Raised in the proud house of Beni Makhzum, Khalid believed it was his duty to defend his people. He had not yet heard the message of Islam with an open heart. Instead, he saw it as a challenge to everything he had been raised to protect. His loyalty to Quraysh was unquestionable. In 624 CE, the Muslims achieved an unexpected victory at the Battle of Badr. The defeat shocked the leaders of Quraysh. Many of Mecca's greatest warriors had been killed, including prominent members of Beni Makhzum. For Quraysh, Badr was not simply a military loss, it was a humiliation that demanded revenge. 1 year later, Quraysh marched toward Medina with a much larger army. Their objective was clear: defeat the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and restore the honor they had lost at Badr. Among their commanders was Khalid ibn al-Walid, entrusted with leading the cavalry. Although still a relatively young commander, Khalid had already earned a reputation for discipline, speed, and tactical intelligence. The two armies met near Mount Uhud. At first, the battle appeared to favor the Muslims. The Quraysh army was pushed back, and many of its soldiers began to retreat. But the battle was not over. Before the fighting began, the Prophet Muhammad had stationed a group of archers on a hill overlooking the battlefield. Their orders were simple and unmistakable. Do not leave your position, no matter how the battle unfolds. As victory seemed certain, many of the archers believed the fighting had ended. Against their commander's advice, most left the hill to gather the spoils of war. Only a small number remained. From across the battlefield, Khalid noticed something few others had seen. The strategic position protecting the Muslim army had been left almost undefended. Within moments, he recognized the opportunity. Without hesitation, he gathered his cavalry and rode around the mountain, avoiding the main fighting. Then, he struck. The cavalry charged directly toward the nearly abandoned hill, overwhelming its defenders before attacking the Muslim army from the rear. At the same time, the remaining forces of Quraysh regrouped and attacked from the front. The Muslims suddenly found themselves caught between two attacks. Confusion spread across the battlefield. The victory they had nearly secured turned into one of the most difficult moments in their history. Many companions were martyred. For military historians, Khalid's maneuver at Uhud remains one of the most remarkable cavalry movements of the early Arabian campaigns. He had not won because his army was larger. He had won because he recognized a single mistake at exactly the right moment and acted with extraordinary speed. His reputation as a brilliant battlefield commander spread throughout Arabia. Yet despite the victory at Uhud, the conflict between Quraysh and the Muslims did not come to an end. Years passed. Both sides continued to face one another in a series of confrontations. Then, in 628 CE, something unexpected happened. Instead of another major battle, the Muslims and Quraysh agreed to negotiate. The result was the Treaty of al-Hudaybiyah. To many of the Muslims, Some of the treaty's terms appeared difficult to accept, but Prophet Muhammad accepted them with patience and confidence. Many leaders of Quraysh believed the agreement demonstrated weakness. Khalid watched these events closely. He had spent years fighting Muhammad, yet the Prophet never pursued revenge when peace was possible. He honored agreements. He remained calm under pressure, and with every passing year, Islam continued to grow stronger instead of weaker. Something no longer made sense. If this movement was destined to fail, why did it continue to expand? If Muhammad was merely another tribal leader, why did his followers remain so devoted, even after years of hardship?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
For the first time in his life, Khalid began asking questions he had never allowed himself to consider before. The road that would one day lead him to Islam had quietly begun. Chapter 2 ends here. Chapter 3 awaits. Before you leave, welcome to Mr. Krish, where history's darkest stories come back to life. You've just witnessed one chapter, but countless horrors are still waiting to be uncovered. Every week, we explore forgotten legends, cursed rulers, ancient mysteries, and the terrifying events that history almost erased. I'm Mr. Krish, and I'll be your guide through history's darkest nightmares. If you enjoy these stories, subscribe and join me for the next journey into the shadows of history.